thing. Not as much as I used to after adding 12 gigs of RAM, but it still comes up sometimes. Then there's the other thing. Last summer it started making a lot of noise when it was hot outside and the computer was under a load. I thought for sure I was gonna die. That's when I decided I needed to look for a new computer. You know, I already wanted more RAM and this seemed like the time. Today's show is brought to you by the acronym YDIC. You don't know what you don't know. YDIC. Probably should have thought about a drive replacement first, but I had no clue, man. And now, back to the show. And I found out what I already knew. A new 32 gig machine is way, way out of my range. So is a 16 gig machine even. I think I need a cheaper option. Is there one? Yep. And they call it refurbished. A new to me computer put together with usable parts from old machines and some new stuff too. Can you hear that? Electronic waste is piling up even as I speak. Here, there, where you are, everywhere it's a big problem, man. I know. In another life, I went to the dump all the time. There was always a new pile of TVs, computers, printers, microwaves, and just about everything else you could think of sitting there waiting to go somewhere. Where do they go, you ask? They all get rounded up and hauled off to a process at an e-waste recycler. In the case of computers, they usually get stripped of all their usable stuff before they get shredded and then the metals are recovered. You know, I'm not really a tree hugger type, but even I can see the benefit of reusing stuff before it goes to the landfill, huh? And I can get computing power that I want at a price I can afford. Where to look? Amazon Renewed, of course. Why? Well, they guarantee these things. Many of their vendors are actually Microsoft authorized refurbishers. That's a plus in my book. So what did I look for? Well, I'm not gaming with this machine. It's strictly for photo and video editing with some graphic design thrown in the mix. Graphic design? Yep, if you're doing your own thumbnails, that's graphic design. So my search went something like this. Under $500, a desktop, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and DDR3. Why DDR3? Because it's cheaper. I wasn't concerned with the processor type or the generation of it. I can only afford what I can afford. You can pick the operating system if you want. My needs were pretty simple. I just wanted 2 terabytes of hard drive. Oh yeah, I also wanted an optical drive. In fact, I wanted a DVD RW so I could burn discs. Oh yeah, I'm an old guy. Thanks for asking. I also wanted to make sure it came with a keyboard and a mouse. Sometimes they don't. Make sure you check. So I spent a couple of months comparing the machines and dreaming in my spare time. You know, if you do game on these things, they have quite a few good deals on those too. In the end, I ordered an HP Business Elite 8300. A small form factor machine, even though it's twice the size of my old Slimline. The specs? It's got an i7-3770 quad-core 8-thread processor. It comes with integrated Intel graphics of the HT4000 variety. It's got a 2 terabyte hard drive, and yeah, I got my DVD burner. Here's a side note for you. Pay attention to where the feet are on the case. When mine showed up, I tried standing it up and running it. The DVD drive was not amused. My case has to lay flat, and I had to rearrange a few things to get that to happen, so be careful. Place your order and it's on the way, man. Mine showed up early. It was well packaged and clean. The keyboard and mouse were brand new. Popping the cover and looking inside, man, it looks good. Even the RAM looked brand new. Only a fool would change that, right? I know. So let's talk about the stuff I bought that was not renewed. Even though a DisplayPort is later technology, my computer didn't have an HDMI output. So to see it on my new monitor, I needed a video port to HDMI adapter. I got one from Ben Fay for less than 10 bucks. I of course needed a monitor, so I got a good deal on a 27-inch Scepter. It's not 4K, but that's kind of out of my budget yet. This old computer also had no SD card reader, if you can believe that. so I had to get a multi-card reader from Anker. It can actually read up to 8 different types of cards. Unless you buy one without an operating system, and yeah, they do that if that's your thing. Yours should be pre-installed and ready to go. So I hooked everything up, plugged it in, and turned it on. Worked right out of the box. They even pre-installed the VLC media player, saving me a trip. You Windows people know about that. I did have one minor issue though, so I did call the refurbisher. They helped me right away, no hassle. I like that. The issue? Operator error, not a problem with the machine. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. These shiny, shiny, shiny things. Heat spreaders on the memory sticks. Boy, they sure look nice, don't they? Hey, I love the idea of hopping up my machine just as much as the next person, maybe even more. Cooling down my memory so my machine can bust ass sounds awesome, right? Sure does. Thing is, no matter how hard I searched, it was always the same answer. At best, these things only improve your temperatures by a degree or two. Not really worth the trouble, they say. Then they go on to tell you how they carefully baked them in an oven so they could remove the offending shields. So I put them on anyway, man. I love the look of them, and that's really what they're sold for, I'm guessing. Am I happy with this purchase? Oh, you better believe it. Everything all together was less than $500 out the door, and for me, that's a screaming deal. Does it work faster than the 16 gig machine? Oh yeah, take a look. Here's loading GIMP. And here's loading my video editor. Quite the improvement. That drive is a little noisy though, being a hard drive. Maybe down the line after some GPU decisions. So if you needed a computer and you're on a tight budget, I can wholeheartedly recommend Amazon Renewed as an option. It really did work for me, and I'll bet it will work for you too. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Yeah, I know, right?